Welcome to the Activity Call Live. Now, let's hear it for our special guest host, Belle Crause.
Good morning, Alliance family. I am fired up to be here this morning. I am Belle Crause out of Puyallup, Washington. For those who don't know where Puyallup is or can't say it, we are just south of Seattle. My husband Jake and I, we have been a part of the Alliance family for just over 8 years. And I feel excited and honored to be your host today. Whenever I am asked to host one of these training calls, I don't take it lightly. I feel that is a honored request, and I hope to do it justice today. I just want to thank Andy and Jane Albright for the Alliance system and all that it has allowed our family to do and many other families too. It's very special when someone has a dream big enough, it can include thousands of other people to build their dreams within it. And had they not paved the way all those years ago, none of us would be here. So thank you, Andy and Jane Albright. This morning, we are talking about the estate planning and seminar system, something I'm very excited about. It is a newer product and process to our arsenal here at the Alliance. Andy has always been very innovative on bringing more tools to the toolbox, more ammo in the arsenal, as I like to say. With a military background, my husband and I, we do equate a lot of our business here to our military history. We do have a couple of special guests here today with that military background as well. I can't wait to introduce you to them. But first, I want to just take a minute and go over the estate plan itself. The estate plan is a new, service that we provide, and it includes things like wills, trust, power of attorney, like a healthcare power of attorney, and a financial power of attorney. And we can serve our clients with this service, with this product right now. That's something that you can do if you go get contracted on the Alliance ARC. If you go onto ARC and you go to, connections, and then go down to ITS/estate planning, you can go and get your agent number, sign your non-disclosure agreement, and you can start offering this to your current clients today. Start offering it today. You can do the training, get the understanding, and start offering it. Because what I want to do this morning is separate the fact that the estate plan, that is our product service. The seminar system is how we prospect to that particular product service. So those are two separate pathways there. They work very well together. We're going to go over both. But I would be remiss if I did not just really put it out there that you don't have to do a seminar in order to help your current clients in warm market with the estate planning product and services there. So that's a very important first step for a lot of people. Some of you who went to conference, y'all, first of all, conference was amazing. If you all weren't there, I'm truly sorry. Truly sorry we missed you, but we had the best time. You'll get another opportunity. Don't worry, we're not done having fun. We're going to have National Boot Camp coming up in October, and you'll get a chance to come hang out with us and have a lot of fun. But for those that were there at Family Reunion, you may have heard Joe Walker talk about how he held a current client class and did a class for them on the estate planning product service and just blew that thing up. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. And you can do that too. You can do that too. Again, the training is available on the Alliance University. The contracting is available through the ARC under connections, and then the ITS estate planning there. So you can get started. There's no barriers for you. You can actually get started. Get with your agency manager, get with them, put together a plan, and make this thing happen. Because I tell you what, this is the future of this business. When we can bring in our final expense, our mortgage protection, our Medicare, and now our estate planning. Y'all, we are full service. Don't forget our integrity advisory solutions for those high-end clients who need those advisory services. Andy has stacked the deck in our favor. He has stacked the deck in our favor. There's no other company out there that can do what we do to serve our clients and our community and be rewarded ourselves for the hard work that we do. So that is just my perspective on what's going on here. So don't be remiss that you can get started with this, literally getting contracted, trained, and out there today. So beyond the actual just product service, there is a process that we can use to basically prospect and generate leads for this product and service. Now, we have an excellent lead programs for final expense. We have multiple vendors that we use. We have the integrity leads. We have LPT, the lead performance team. We have a lot of resources on leads. I know John Davis with Bang Bang Leads. He is what we call an approved vendor. They have been vetted. Y'all, when we bring a lead source to the company, you can bet your bottom dollar that top producers have been out there field testing these leads. They have been rode hard and put up wet to make sure that these are qualified, good leads for you to run with. And so there's a lot of lead sources to choose from, but we make sure the ones that we recommend to our agents and to our teams have like teeth behind them, because we invested our money, we invested our time and our resources to go out there and field test these things. And so we've got the lockdown on the final expense lead market. We have the mortgage protection lead market. Andy was revolutionary in the industry with that market. And so we have multiple lead vendors there, and that's another strong avenue that we have. We have the Medicare system, right? We have through Integrity, that's one of the largest sectors of business through Integrity is the Medicare market. We have Medicare lead system there for those who want to take those leads that are AHIP certified. Now we're going to talk about the lead system for the estate planning product and service, and that would be our seminar system. And so our seminar system is a way to generate leads for that product. And y'all, we're on the leading edge. Ain't nobody got what we got at the Alliance. We are developing this process as we go. We've got some battle stories in here. I've got Brandon Bulis and Mark Burrows we're going to bring up here in a minute. We're going to talk about some stories from the battlefield on here. We've been doing this now for about 6-7 months, and we've been through some stuff, and we want to prepare you for what not to do and how to be successful at doing it and the things that we've already run into. So one of the things I often tell the agents when I'm coaching them is we got to get out into the field, right? We got to get out and do these things, because here at the Alliance, this is not a college course. This is an apprenticeship. When you come here to learn, you learn through doing. And if you can equate that to stepping into the ring, right? Stepping in, maybe you're boxing, maybe you're MMA. I like MMA. I can't help it. I like to watch it. I like those aggressive sports like that. I love football. At any rate, when you're out there, when you're in the ring, and then stuff starts coming at you, right? You get punched in the face often enough, you learn how to block. And then once you learn how to block, and you learn how to throw a counter punch, and then you learn how to do a double, you learn how to do an arm bar, you learn how to take an elbow and, really, really bloody up that opponent, right? That's what we've been out there doing for the last 6 months. So we can bring that coaching to you, so we can teach you how to block right out the gate. We can teach you how to punch right out the gate, right? So you don't have to take the beating that we took over the last 6 months to get to where we are, because we're a team player here at the Alliance. That's what we do. So let's talk about our seminar system. In a nutshell, we're teaching a class to the community. We're doing an educational event for the community where we talk about the pitfalls of not having a proper estate plan in place. That's what the seminar system is. It is a educational event. It's a presentation. Now, y'all, this presentation has already been developed. You don't, just like we have our ATM, our Alliance Training Manual for our in-home presentations for our final expense and for our mortgage protection and our general life insurance leads, right? We have an Alliance Training Manual. That was developed for you. You don't have to reinvent that, right? You need to practice it. You need to know it by heart. You need to learn to love the process. Well, we have the class, the presentation, it's already done too. So you don't have to go and invent the thing. All you got to do is practice it, right? Get good at delivering it and do it step by step, step by step. So that's in a nutshell what the process is. Now we're going to get into some details here because it's not that simple. There are some steps in there, right? But at its backbone, the way we prospect for the estate planning product and service is through this educational event in our communities. And so one of the things I want to talk about is the setup before your event. What goes into this process before hosting your first seminar? Because proper planning prevents poor performance, right? And I can attest to that because I had some poor performances, right? I had some mess out there, and I don't want y'all in the same mess. So I'm first going to bring up, I guess, if you guys want to bring up Brandon Bulis. Now, Brandon, I just got to introduce him here for a second. Brandon is a lifelong friend for Jake and I. Brandon Bulis, he is out here in Washington as well, formerly of Puyallup. He has moved out to this beautiful lake home since then. But Brandon is the one who hired Jake and I into the Alliance. He was the one that cared enough about us to mention to Jake that, hey, there's this thing that I do on the side, and I think you might want to be a part of it. Now, give you a little background. Jake and Brandon met on deployment in another country on a battlefield, and that's where they first met. And Brandon was one of the first, training mentors that Jake had for the special operations aviation community. And Brandon was tough on Jake. But it's because he cared. He cared enough to do the hard things that would keep Jake alive. He cared enough to do the hard things that would keep Jake alive. And I am forever grateful for that. Jake is forever grateful for that. And just a little bit about his character. When he was out processing the military, when he was out processing the Army, he was done with all his official duties. He was on the administrative side of out processing. And then he heard that my husband had a deployment coming up and would miss our son's combination high school college graduation because our son went to college 2 years early. So he got his high school diploma and his college degree at the same time. And Brandon heard that Jake was going to miss it. So Brandon, who was officially done with all official duties, stepped back in to the fight. He took Jake's deployment for him, literally took bullets for my family so that Jake, my husband, could come to our son's graduation. That's the kind of man I'm here with today. And so, y'all, I'm fired up. This is Brandon Bulis. Brandon and I were there, and of course, Jake. Y'all, Jake is recovering from back surgery. That's why he's not on here today. He just had back surgery yesterday, got home last night. He is good to go. He's recovering well, but that's the only reason he's not here. He physically can't get up just yet. But Brandon, Jake, and I were there at the very beginning of this back in February when we were preparing for our first seminar system. And so we've had some great results. Don't get me wrong. We're going to get to the reward part of this. We've had some great results from that first seminar, but we got to talk about some of the punches that we had to take, some of the things we had to learn to block and dodge and punch back on. So Brandon, if you want to go ahead and unmute there, we're going to talk a little bit about that behind the scenes that went on. So I guess we should mention, the timeline, right? If we want to go with timeline, with how far out we start the process, if you want to have that community seminar event. So if you want to pick up from there a little bit and talk about the planning behind it.
So on the community, thank you for the amazing intro. Jake's version of how we met might be a little bit more colored than that. But anyways, so welcome, Alliance family. Hey, what a wonderful job that Belle did. I tell you what, the last 15 minutes, she got me fired up. Everything that we've got with the Alliance, what Andy has set up for us, and always being on the cutting edge of how to get in front of clients, how to help clients, how to have fun, make money, and make a difference. Oh my goodness, it's just awesome being part of this team. I'm absolutely honored. So we started off with the seminars by scheduling a seminar. scheduling a seminar, and I'll talk about the timeline that takes. Joe Walker and Tawny Walker, they actually set up, as Belle said earlier, with their current clients, and they also did a seminar, but there was a cost to it, getting the venue, all the marketing materials and stuff like that. But as far as the actual marketing costs to get the clients there, they just used current clients. They went through it and they racked them and stacked them. They didn't necessarily invite all of them, right? They knew some of their clients that this necessarily wasn't a product for them. But the timing on there, first of all, you've got to get a venue. Venue is just absolutely crucial to when you're marketing and having people come on in. So you gotta do your homework, find a venue. With the venue, and this is a lot of this stuff, guys, we're hammering down. It's a lot of the same things that that's been said on the Alliance University training before. So you've got to get that venue locked down, and it's got to be in a good place. So think of something that's educational, right? A library, a community center, something that's not necessarily nondescript, but somebody isn't going to be like, like, for example, if you had it at a church, well, somebody might go, well, I'm a Catholic and I'm not going to go into that church, or I'm a Protestant, right? So you don't want anything that's going to exclude anybody, something that's community oriented. And you need to find out where that's at, because that's going to go on to your marketing material, your marketing. And then you've got to figure that out where that's going to be. The timeline on that is going to be a couple of weeks, and so you have to get that place locked down. Well, let me give you a little pro tip. The good places are taken early, right? So you want to be able to find, if Belle knows, right? Mark knows as well. So you want to be able to find that, get that locked down for a location. And then at a minimum, 5 weeks before you plan on having your scheduled event, then you're going to go ahead and finalize your details with the marketing team to be able to send out the flyers. And I tell you what, y'all, it comes out with a very professional card stock. I mean, it looks really professional. And again, that's whether you're doing it with your current clients, you're going to send it out. However, that's going to be about 5 weeks prior. 10 days prior, 14 to 10 days prior, the mailings will actually officially go out. After that, you're going to get onto your account and you're going to start accessing and seeing the clients that are or potential clients at that point that are registering for your event. So things that we learned there. Go ahead, Belle. Sorry.
Brandon, I just want to point out, for those of you that this sounds a little overwhelming for, Andy has a solution. So Cindy Steele, who has mastered our final expense mailing, she's mastered that lead generation there, right? She is the head of the marketing for this, right? So you'll get connected with her for the marketing side of things. Andy leaves nothing to chance, right? You're not in this alone. There's professional service support through qualified people that he has put in place to support us in this. So you don't have to know the demographics, have a general idea of where you want to work, and have a conversation to see if that area will support this type of product and service. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Your homework is to find the location. Right. They'll bring the fish into the net type thing. So
when we're talking about location, I do want to talk about one of the punches we took for location. So if you guys could bring Mark Burrows on along with Brandon and I. And now Mark Burrows, the history there goes back, actually predates Brandon Bulis. We have known Mark and Nicole Burrows for many, many years. Jake was new from flight school when he met Mark Burrows on his first duty station. Jake went from bomb disposal, just like me. Many of you may not know that. He was in bomb disposal, EOD. He went to flight school and was a fresh pilot, a Kiowa War pilot. We went to Fort Drum, New York, and that's where we met Mark and Nicole Burrows. Now, Mark Burrows was one of the first instructor pilots that Jake flew with him in combat. Again, taught Jake how to stay alive, kept my husband alive for us right? Taught him those fundamentals in battle. So this is real, the real battlefield. We're talking foreign countries, bullets flying. And then when Mark, some of you may have heard his story, Mark was shot down over in Iraq. Jake was one of the first ones in the air to provide security and support until he could be brought out safely. God, y'all, man. So these men have been on the battlefield for real with our family. Jenny Bulis and Nicole Burrows are two of my best friends in the world because we know what it's like on the backside of this. And so there are bonds when your family bleeds together, when your family fights together, when your families pray together. Like, there's nothing that can tear that up. So why wouldn't we invite them to do this business with us? So Brandon invited us. We invited Mark. Mark and Nicole are here. So Mark got started in April with the seminar system. And venue was a challenge because when you set your first one up, all the good ones are taken because all the people doing community events know they have to book them like 6 months in advance. Here we are getting our good idea 6 weeks in advance. So you go on the hunt. So the first one's a mess. Don't worry. Find something, get with Cindy, find something that's going to work good enough to get the first one done. And so, Mark, let's talk about your first venue.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Yeah, really just super happy to be invited and help the team, the Alliance family. So, hey, everybody who can't see us, it's great seeing family reunion. Brandon, I'm going to apologize. I never formally apologized to you for all the bad habits I taught Jake initially that you had to undo when he came to see you. So, but it all worked out. Yes, we did kind of go last minute, and I picked it was like a training annex for a local church school. And it was pretty honest. It was just like a little, like they had a basketball annex, and this is just kind of a building off to the side. And the location wasn't the best. It wasn't easy to find. It wasn't in a bad neighborhood, but it wasn't in like a super great one either. And then when you got in there, the parking wasn't great. And in the other half of the building, the wrestling team met, as luck would have it, every time we had a seminar. So they're over there doing their thing through these paper thin walls, no parking. But yeah, it was kind of a mess. But, we worked through it. And interestingly enough, the very first people I signed up into the trust system came from one of that event place. I mean, there were so few people there, we had to call friends to come sit in to plus up the numbers to make it look like we were worth talking to. So it was kind of crazy. So,
pro tip number 1, if you have low attendance, have friends. Call your friends, get butts in seats. So again, you look like
early. Let them know that they might have to show up, so they're not in their flip flops and tank top.
Yeah.
Right. So again,
yeah, and if you don't have any friends, go make some.
Right, make some friends that will
try and recruit them too. Try and recruit them while you're at it. But interestingly enough, so fast forward, just working through the process, they came for their uncle, not even for them. And it ended up not working for the uncle, but they came in the office. They're not married, but they both got trust. First time, sat down, first people I wrote, they both got trust because they're not married. They're like life partners. So fast forward, they just working through all the financials and working together and helping them through their family stuff. They had decided to move their money from their current financial advisor to us. And I'm working on a $500,000 annuity now with them, and the remaining $300-ish under management. So don't discount. I mean, even you make a mess, and I was pretty disheartened, but I mean, that's the biggest one yet. And it was out of the worst venue. So just put your best foot forward and do the best of what you got. And if you do everything just as best as you can, it'll work out.
Oh, you're talking about being an apprentice, right? Mark and I were talking yesterday after Jake's surgery, and I wanted to call and congratulate him on that annuity. I was like, God, man, that's awesome! $500,000 annuity really helped out a family. You got 2 estate plans out of it. You got some life insurance policies on it. And we got joking about, we're like, holy cows, imagine how good this is going to be when we actually figure this thing out, right? Like, we're making pretty good money here as we're stumbling through and touching our hand on the proverbial hot stove.
It's just like those MMA fighters that step into the ring, y'all. The person bloodied on the mat gets paid too, not just the one with the arm raised. So they get paid too. So I think we had 4 people show up at that event, Mark. I think it was 4 people. We seated the room with people that we were blessed to have. You know, Rory and Ariel Bean showed up for us. I mean, thank you. We had Ashley, who's on Mark's team, and her fiance showed up, right? We had people that showed up and had our back. And as a result of us taking the punch, right? You take the punch and you get back up. We stood up there, we delivered our message. We did what we were supposed to do in the non-ideal environment, non-ideal circumstances, and fruit grew from those seeds. And so great things come from humble beginnings. Don't underestimate the power of showing up and getting started. Now, it took some time. This is the long game, guys, not the short game. But we're living proof that you can make a mess, and in the end, it's still going to work if you work the system. So I just wanted to bring that piece in as we go. Venue is key, but find the best thing you have to work with and get started. Find the best thing you have to work with and get started. All right. So, Brandon, if you want to go on, venue is key. Got to have that early on. Get with some mentorship, some guidance, and the coaching on what to pick and how to pick it. Location. There is a timeline there, but you got to have an office too. Now, I have to tell on myself about the office. So Brandon knows, because Brandon was on, he and Jake, like they were wrestling me over getting off, because I'm like, we go to our clients. This is what we have done for this many years, and this is how we operate. And they just don't know how we do. And that's right. They know how they did things to do it right for this product. So with much, crying and gnashing of teeth, Brandon, if you want to expound on the office space.
Hey, I want to point out something here, right? So, Jake, Mark, and I, we're combat helicopter pilots, stuff like that. We are not the best at this, right? I just want to point that out. We're more like the bad news bears, and word is out here with activity on it, and it's amazing just to be able to do this, with the Crouses and with the Burrows. So, guys, ask your friends to come join you in this. So, I'm sorry, you got me. What am I supposed to be talking about, Belle?
The office and how important the office is.
Yeah. So Belle and I are sitting down talking, and I'm like, hey, I really think it's going to be crucial that we have an office. And I've had an office because we did hot spots and stuff like that. And I'm like, Belle, it's huge. She's like, no, we go. That's the system. The system is we go to the home, right? And she's like even doing her mama pointing at me. I'm like, oh, hey, back off, Belle. And then Jake's like, yeah, man, like I am not getting through because it's the husband-wife clash. Maybe you can get through to her. I'm like, bro, I could not get through to her. But I was like, Belle, this is different. And so we ended up having a great conversation, right? Belle, this is different, right? We're more on, the clients are no more, no less important, but it's a different setting, right? These people are expecting, when you're coming in, you're talking about the entire estate plan, you're thinking more along the lines of lawyer, you're thinking more along the lines of doctor. And that's what we really need to get. And then Belle doing a great thing, right? And when you're in business and you can either spend money or you can invest money. And the Crouses are good at investing money and not just spending money. She's like, Brandon, the cost of the office, the cost of this, the cost of that. And I said, well, let's think about it. And I don't know if this is actually what pushed you over the edge, but I said, Belle, if you have a no-show on one side of town and you go and you start door knocking in that hour and a half, like here, ideally, we're going to have so many clients that you can be working on deals, working on paperwork, working on stuff like that. And so we're just talking about the logistics of time traveling around. Don't get me wrong, Belle's still out there, we're still out there driving around, helping out my mortgage protection and final expense clients. But I think when it comes down to it, the way that we're getting these leads and the seminar and getting through the estate plan guys, like Belle said at the very beginning, that is not the goal. That is the way to be able to get a very warm, qualified lead. And when you show up professional looking and you've got a professional looking office, like that's setting the expectation for what the clients are going to receive. Absolutely crucial in this, and every single metric along the way. And we don't have time to talk about all of them, guys. There's 40 plus hours of training on NA University. We can't hammer everything in this short little hour. But every single metric, if you can get just a little bit better, right? A little bit better at each one, then coming out the backside is a lot higher profitability for you and more clients that are served. So office, absolutely crucial because of the client and what we're trying to set the expectation for them.
So I have to go through and eat a little humble pie because they are so right. Choosing an office is key. We're going to get with your agency manager, get with someone who has run events before and held an office, the type of office it needs to be, the type of amenities that need to be there, somebody to greet the person when they come in. All that is key and important. But here's the fundamental shift for me with having that office. Because we, due to the compound effect of consistently having these seminars, we have booked our schedule out 3 weeks, right? And even when I get somebody who calls in, guys, you get very few no-shows. People notify you if they can't make their appointment. When they call in or they text us and say, I need to reschedule, we have a list of people that are on a wait list. They're already on the calendar, but we had to put them 3 weeks out. And they say, if something opens up sooner, let me know. And so when someone calls to reschedule, my assistant calls that wait list and it refills. There is no free time in there. There is no downtime. It's client after client after client coming into the office without the wasted drive time in between, without the wasted effort in between on these types of prospects. So having the office is crucial, absolutely crucial. It cannot be overlooked. I was wrong, Brandon. I was wrong to fight it. I was wrong to resist it. That was the coaching and guidance we were being given in the beginning, y'all. But I, hard-headed, didn't want to listen. I'm grateful I did. I'm grateful we started with the system that was presented to us and we ran with it. So that's another thing that we learned to dodge on is we need to adapt for this clientele if you're running this system. So after office,
before you transition beyond office, 10 seconds on, probably 20 seconds on a very key point that you said that there's a very large learning point is that we were advised that and we wanted to go different. Guys, when you're going through all the training, when you're going through every Thursday morning, get signed up. Sign your NDA. Every Thursday we have training. All that stuff's on NA University on there. There are things that for whatever reason, and it's not that we necessarily thought better, but evidently we thought better, and we went against the system. And we track our numbers. We track our numbers so diligently. And we're like, oh my gosh, what have we done? Well, 99% of the time it's we weren't following the system.
So true. So true. So listen to the ones that have gone before you and were successful at what you're trying to be successful at. Now, guys, there's some people that try a lot of this stuff and they're not successful at it. Don't take advice from them, right? Don't take advice from them. Take advice from the ones that are winning at what you want to win at. So the venue, the office, now it's the actual presentation, right? So on the build up to having your seminar, you're going to get people to register. They're going to register for your event, and you need to call them and thank them for their registration and ask them if they're familiar with the location. Let them know about parking. Let them know that, maybe we provide water. That's all we provide. We're not providing food. A lot of people get these flyers in the mail. They're used to people trying to entice them in with food. We ain't doing that, y'all. We're enticing them in with what we bring to the table, which ain't the food, but it is the bread that protects the bread that they've spent their life making. So We're enticing them in with that, but you're not going to answer any questions about the class. You're not going to answer any questions about the content. You're just calling them to touch base. That's that first touch with them. Thank them for registering. Make sure they're familiar with the location. Give them details about parking and where to enter the building if necessary. Let them know water will be provided and that they can bring a guest. They can bring a guest. They can actually bring 2 guests if they want, right? Hey, I just need to know. We need to put them on the registration so we have enough seating for them. So it fills up quick. So if you're bringing a guest, get them on now, right? And so you can stack that room by making those phone calls. Because, y'all, you can buy an advantage, but you'll never buy your way out of the work. And this is part of the work. You're making those phone calls on there to those people that register. And then on the day of the event, the support that goes into that. So, Mark, I know Nicole does an amazing job at providing support at your event. If you want to unmute and talk about what role Nicole plays, and y'all, Nicole would be on here, but the school started, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and so she's got the boys and she's getting them off to school and things like that. But let's talk about the role that the support plays on that event day.
Yeah, so we show up about an hour early, and then we do our setup. And we just, I'll usually set up like the computer and the audio, make sure my presentation's set. And then she will usually help with like the clipboards and all that other stuff. And then we just work it together, making sure that the chairs are put in the right spot by the library staff. But when people start showing up, I'm out front, out of the room, kind of in the atrium, as people come in the library. Hey, you here for the estate planning seminar? Hey, so nice to meet you. I'm Mark. Hey, it's through those doors. Nicole's going to help you sign in and say, thank you so much. They walk in and she greets them. They've already got her name. So you must be Nicole. So it's kind of like an opener for her. And then when they walk in, she's very nice and she just helps them out and does all the, we don't have to go into all those things, but helps them get signed in and seated. And what I'll say with support staff is, just in talking to a lot of people about how they're doing it, your support people have to be as professional, as sharply dressed as you are. So make sure whoever's helping you is going to speak well, look well, be polite, have a smile, because you're a team. Even if you're the one upstairs, they're still looking at these other people. So your support staff have got to be there supporting you as well and the whole seminar process. But then in the end, Nicole just kind of hangs out for any late stragglers that come in, and she greets them and gets them seated, so I don't have to worry about stopping my presentation. And then in the end, I say, thank you so much. I will walk out away so they're not coming up and bombarding me with questions. And then she's the one, she actually grabs the green sheet. She's pretty crazy. She said, I'll take that. And she hands them a folder. She doesn't give them an option to not turn it in. They're walking by, she just she grabs it. So that's kind of how we have it set up. And then because they met her when we call to schedule the appointment, she helps with scheduling as well. They've met both of us. And so she actually books quite a majority of the appointments because I'm just running. And so she's helping behind the scenes get them booked, but they've already met her. She's developed a relationship. And so now they know there's more than just one person there to help them through the process.
Love it. I love it. Because when you show up, if you're a one-man band, if they see you as a one-man band, that gets a little difficult in their mind. Like, how is this person supporting all this? And it's just them. So definitely, I love that Nicole is there. And let's just face it, she's prettier than Mark. And so they see her smiling face, and then they hear her beautiful voice on the phone when she calls them later to schedule that appointment. So on the day of the event, that support that you have in place is vital. It's absolutely vital. For those of you that have virtual assistants, that's great. When you have a virtual assistant that can call your pending and call your current clients and let them know the next steps, they can't virtually show up in a room and hand them a water bottle and smile and shake their hand. So you need some boots on the ground for this. So Brandon, if you want to speak a little bit about our, I guess I call it show of force when we had our first one, y'all, we didn't know what we didn't know. We invited the Walkers down. We had Brandon there. Jake and I were there. So if you want to talk about like kind of how we had, and of course we'll get to this, but Scott Garcia gave our first presentation, right? That's the first time we'd seen it. He gave the presentation. And so that was the first time seeing it. So Brandon, if you want to talk about just the support and the process there at our first event.
People might get tired of our analogies, Belle, but it's kind of like, hey, listen, we don't know what kind of fight we're getting in, so let's bring in the reinforcements, right? So it was like, hey, admin, come on in. Joe and Tony Walker, we got this thing going on. You guys might want to join us here. Dress nice, right? And Joe Walker and Tony, they're always like dressing the nines anyways. No, but we wanted to set ourselves up for success, right? You can never overdress. If what's somebody can say like, oh wow, Belle had on a beautiful business outfit, right? As opposed to, oh, Belle was in there in her flip flops, So again, we wanted to do the same thing with personnel. So we set it up. We're like, well, we're going to have somebody at the door meet them to it was a larger area. So we had somebody at the door to be able to meet them and say, hey, welcome to the seminar, estate planning seminar. If you just go down this way right here, Joe and Tanya will get you signed in, or whoever it was. And then we had people at the registration, 2 different people at the registration, help sign them in right there. Just a little bit of idle chit chat with them, making them feel like family, handing them water, giving them a name tag and stuff like that. Another person that was at the door, hey, go ahead and take a seat up front. Clipboards are on there. And then whoever was doing the presentation is generally not necessarily in that area, right? They're going to be the star of the show. Right? Jerry Seinfeld isn't out front meeting people as they come into the theater, right? So we kind of keep that person hidden because they're the star of the show, whoever that is. And then you just assign those people, whoever it is that you can get, assign them on the way back out, kind of reverse order what they're doing. Hey guys, thank you for coming in. Go ahead and like Mark said, Nicole, go ahead and grab your green sheet on your way out. And we call it a green sheet, right? We've said a green sheet. That's actually old terminology. So when we say green sheet, it is green. Don't get that confused with the green sheet that we do with the client. It's actually called an intake form. And the reason we said it's green is because, hey, green money, let's go ahead and print it on there. So it's an intake form, not a green sheet, right? I think that's what we're calling it, right, Belle? Intake form? Anyways.
Something like that. Don't confuse it with the advisory green sheets that we run in the field. Two different things.
Separate green sheet on there. No, you just go ahead and we want the client experience to we want them to be like, oh my gosh, these guys have their stuff together, right? And the presentation is set up to where I'm going to say that it makes you seem bigger than what you are because you've got an advisory team with right now we have 6 lawyers, right? Estate planning lawyers. Anyways, it makes you seem like you're part of a much larger team, and not seem, you truly are. And so if you have this robust team behind you behind the scenes, we'll go ahead and put it out front so that the clients can see that.
Absolutely.
And just like to make sure what Mark said, make sure that the people that are out there supporting are also dressed professionally.
Very true. And you are part of a bigger team because you're part of the Alliance family. And that is your bigger support system, right? So no one's misrepresenting anything. You are part of a larger team. We're just trying to give them the display, the connotation of all the support that is there behind you and the business that you're running. And so some of the things we learned on this is I'm going to talk about the materials there. When we handed out our folders at the end, like our thing colors are red, white, and blue. Go figure. Like all the military background. So we got red, white, and blue folders. Well, you know what happens to a white folder? It disappears because it doesn't stand out. And so the people that got the white folders from the stack, when they left, they had a hard time finding their folder later. So something as simple as don't hand out a white folder. And make sure it's some other color, right? Some other color that's going to stand out. And make sure that the sheet that you want handed back to you at the end is a different color. We have it on colored paper for a reason. It stands out. We'll notice if someone's trying to walk out with it. They won't be confused over the notepad, because you're going to give them. And again, all these materials are listed online. We're not going to reinvent the training there on what you have prepared in that class, but you have a note sheet there That's a white piece of paper. So make sure the sheet you want them turning in is a different color so they can identify the difference between the two. It's that little thing, which is a big thing, so that you can identify it, they can identify it, and the process moves very smoothly on there. So that's kind of the logistics on some of the support that goes on there. Now, the presentation itself, it's just like our ATM, right? You follow it. You follow the presentation. The concepts that are in there for a reason. Now, you can add in your stories that complement that concept, just like we do in the home with our ATM. We'll tell a story about an experience one of our clients had or one of our family members had. If we don't have a story yet, because we borrow a story from someone in the Alliance who experienced something like that or had a client that experienced something like that, right? We have those stories that may vary from person to person, but we follow the presentation as it is, hitting all those concepts, because if you leave anything out, it's like a combination lock. That door will not open. It won't open. And so we had some issues with the presentation, because I don't know if most of y'all have spoken in front of a group before. That brings its own level of anxiety. It brings its own level of challenges for a lot of us. I was made fun of for years, by the way, because of the way I talk. I'm from southeastern Kentucky, and when I first left that area, people couldn't understand what I was saying. I'm from a region where we invent new words, turn sentences into a single word. Like it's a hot mess. Literally, people made fun of the way I talked for years and years and years. And now I'm standing in front of large groups of people trying to articulate and communicate. There's a certain level of anxiety that goes on inside of Belle Crause when you're in a situation like that. So just for anybody out there wondering, like, oh, I could never speak to someone, right? I felt that way too. I couldn't even communicate on a one-on-one in a small setting. But this can be overcome, and it can be overcome with the confidence of your training. So learn the presentation. Practice the presentation. Record yourself doing the presentation. Prepare ahead of time. You don't want the first time that you've ever fired your weapon to be in the thick of the battle. You've got to practice with it ahead of time. So Scott Garcia came out and he gave our first presentation, and then we had a great close rate after that on our intakes. And then the next month, I gave the presentation, and guess what happened to that close rate? So Brandon, if you want to speak on that for a second, because you were there when it all went down, my friend.
And that gets back to what I said earlier, as far as like, we inadvertently were changing the system. Guys, don't do it. Get on the training. Linda Goebbels did it yesterday, Belle, on the Thursday ITS platform call for the Alliance. She's like, she did the presentation, may have changed a couple of little things, and she's seen her close rate go down. So we had just under 72% close rate, which is ridiculous, right? Absolutely ridiculous. But we also had the star pitcher of the game pitching for us, and that was Scott Garcia, because it was one of the very first ones done in the Alliance, right? And then Belle did it, and Belle did an amazing job. However, I had an amazing close rate, and after our first 7 appointments, I went 0 for 7, and I was like, hey, Belle I was like, hey, Belle, I've got to change something, girl, because I'm 0 for 7. I thought yesterday was just a bad day. My first one today, I bombed. I don't know what went on. And so we had a little break in between our appointments. She's like, yeah, Brandon, I'm dismal too. She had closed a couple. She wasn't 0 for 7 like me. And what we identified was our intake was no different. However, the presentation that she gave was different. It wasn't that it was not as professional, but it wasn't as direct. So follow the system. Like the points that are emphasized in there, I can't say it enough. And again, it wasn't us. Another number 2 right behind Belle, Linda Goebel yesterday said it as well, right? Like she changed it, and yesterday she's like, it's no big deal though. I know what I did wrong, and I'm changing it on the next one. So you can guarantee that Linda's numbers are going to go up as well.
So true. So true. So that presentation, guys, it matters. It softens the ground. It's like if you're a farmer and you got new land, and it tills the ground. It tills the ground, and it primes that ground, makes it receptive to the seeds that are planted. So if you don't deliver the presentation well, then you're not softening that ground, which makes it harder in the initial intake appointment to get them to enroll in the estate plan. And so, Mark, do you want to speak a little bit about the role of that presentation and how that matters more than just well, no big deal, or I can wing it? Like, what do you want to say on that presentation?
I mean, that's your first. I mean, that's your. I mean, and the statistics vary, but people say anywhere from like 7 seconds to like 2 minutes that's all you've got to make a first impression. And and these people are sitting with you for an hour and 15 minutes. So that's your first touch with them. I mean, you called them, of course, and all, but this is your first like real true interaction. And so everything from your tonality, how you dress, your body posture, moving around the room, you're not able to comfortably do that in public speak if you don't understand your material. And so I'd like to take a step back, if I could, Belle. When we say go out and make a mess, we're not saying go in like without being prepared. You can schedule all these things. It takes weeks for these things to come to fruition, like getting the venue and mailing the mailers. That is plenty of time. If you're going to spend that much money on mailers and that much money in an office, and you can't spend a couple $100 to go see somebody present that's doing well at this, that's an investment. Go watch somebody who's been doing this for a while and see how they're doing it. And then study. There's an associate advisor guide on the ITS platform to read. It talks through all these things. My point isn't so you memorize. My point is so you feel comfortable in the material, because that comes off to them. When you are comfortable, you talk differently, you look different, you move around the room, you know the slides, you know what you're going to talk about. You're not just reading off a note sheet, which shuts them down because you don't know the material. So being prepared for that presentation, I think, sets everything up, because A, they may not come into your office at all. They may give you a green sheet but not answer you because they don't think that you're professional enough to help them or can help them. But then when they come in, the whole point of the presentation, yes, is to educate them, but it's really more to plant so much emotional doubt. They have got to come talk to you about their specific situation. So they want to book that appointment, and that's what the presentation does. It plants so much emotional doubt in their head that they're not protected. They have to come talk to you. There's just no other option for them.
So true. So the goal of that presentation, guys, it is a community education event, but we're educating them on just how vulnerable they are. And if your education is not leaving them concerned with how vulnerable you are, you're missing the point. You're missing the whole point of why we're bringing this to them. Because feeling educated is great, but if you don't do anything about it, you're still just as messed up. Your family's still just as messed up. It's like, now I understand life insurance, but I'm not going to buy any, right? You don't educate your insurance clients. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, just what you just said resonated with me, because when I first was doing them, I was nervous. I didn't know what I was talking about really. And it was more me just like when you first start selling in the home, you're just blah, blah, blah about the products and services, and you don't get to the pain or the why. Once I realized that every one of those slides Scott's built in the presentation, it's not really there to teach them. It points to drive home to their specific situation. They may not have special needs family members. Somebody else might. So you just think of those slides in that presentation as a way to really drive home the pain and the why. We'll teach them all the stuff later once they get enrolled. They don't need to know how the sausage is made. They just need to know that they really need the sausage if they're hungry.
Love it. Love it. So true. So true. Brandon, did you have anything to add to that?
So absolutely, you need to be able to come in there prepared. You need to be able to come prepared, but don't think that you need to be the professional and have it all lined out. Like we send 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds out to play t-ball, right? They practice a little bit and then they go play a game. They practice a little bit and they play a game. They don't wait until they're good enough to go straight into D1 to play college baseball or college football or professional dancing, right? So there is that balance of there. Make sure that you're prepared, but don't wait until you're like super prepared.
not trying to get a master's degree on this. Again, apprenticeship, not studenthood. Right? We are apprentices on there. And so when we talk about, we do the presentation, right? We get the green sheets after, we get those intake sheets afterwards.
Implementation forms, not green sheets.
Right. And then guess what happens next, y'all? Phone calls. We're going to make phone calls, and we're going to call these people that requested, that turned in that sheet, that requested that time with us to come in for their one-on-one consultation. So you're going to make phone calls with this system too. So for anyone who had any doubt, like, oh, I don't have to make dials anymore. Wrong. Guys, you always got to make phone calls. You always got to be reaching out to prospects. I don't care what business you're in. If you're in sales, you're looking for prospects, right? And so you're going to make those phone calls. And these phone calls, the fundamentals are the fundamentals. It doesn't change because it's a final expense request versus an estate planning request. You're going to call them in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. You're going to leave a message and send a text. So you're going to call them 3 times that day. You're going to have the urgency of getting them in for that appointment. Urgency for getting them in for the appointment. Now let's talk about, we're running out of time. We got 6 minutes. So real quick, we've tried different things on how to book people at the end of the presentation on the night of the seminar. We've tried a lot of things that did not work. I'm not going to talk about the things that did not work. We don't have enough time. You don't need to know them because they didn't work. We found something that did. So let's concentrate on the thing that did work. And we didn't come up with this. I believe Adam Johnson was the one who told us about it. He said he learned it someplace else. But literally, it is so simple. We had 10 appointment spots that we printed on a name label, like a sticky label. Some people use regular sticky notes, right? So we had like Thursday, August, 14th or August 15th at 2 p.m. on a sticky note. And then next to that was my business card that had the same information on that, right? So we told them at the end of the presentation, when we have someone intro the speaker and outro the speaker. Outro is just they wrap it up and, as you walk out the door, because the speaker, that's the other thing. Speaker don't stand in the room. When you're done with the presentation, leave, because if you don't, they think it's question and answer time, right? So my technique for exiting without answering a single question, as soon as I'm done, y'all, I've just been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. I grab my bottle of water. I thank them for being there. Thank you guys very much. Jake's going to come up and assist you with additional information. I grab my bottle of water. I crack it open. I tilt it up and I start drinking it as I leave the room. So nobody can talk to somebody who's drinking water. And then I get out of there and I go wait by the exit. So they don't see me again until after they've turned in their green sheet and they're exiting the building, right? So that's my exit. But, the booking of the appointments, it made it simple because they could take that sticky label. We told them on the outro, we've got 10 priority spots open. 10. Now, everyone else, don't worry. We're going to call you and get you scheduled. But if you want one of those 10 priority spots, that's in the back. Grab that label, stick it on your green sheet, and grab the card that goes with it. I know it's not a green sheet, Brandon. I keep calling it the wrong thing. Stick that on your sheet. And then you take the card with you, and then we have the label on the sheet. So they basically requested that spot. So when we call those sheets the next day, you still got to call them. Hey, I see that you chose the Thursday, August 14th at 2 o'clock appointment spot. Let me tell you how to park. Let me tell you about the bill, right? You're back to that. You're not answering questions or anything like that. You're making sure they're familiar with where your office is, where they need to park, what door they need to enter, that sort of thing. So that was effective at booking the appointments on site. Now the intakes. I got to hit on the intakes. We've got 3 minutes left. Guys, don't lose your fundamentals on sales. When they come in for that intake, it is not a lay down hand. I don't care how perfect that presentation was. You still have to stick to the fundamentals on that one-on-one appointment. You've got to find the why and build the pain. You've got to present them solutions and then sell them on the solution. Those fundamentals of the sales process do not change. I think sometimes when we were entering in this, we thought it was going to be a lay down hand, and we did not stick to the fundamentals on that closing process. So Brandon, if you want to speak on that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's when it comes down to it, it's a relationship, right? They've got to like you, they've got to trust you, and you can identify the problem and have a solution. If they don't like you and trust you, those two are never going to merge. And in between there is the solution and the sale on there. And guys and gals, to remember everything that we have talked about, even after you close and you enroll them in the estate plan, that's just the beginning. That's just getting a warm, hot, qualified lead. And when I say qualified lead, you're talking about somebody who has a need to go on to some of our financial services, primarily potential annuities, IULs, and stuff like that. And you're setting that stage all the way from the first time you talk to them through the presentation and through that intake. And it is sales, right? It's sales. They've got to like you. They've got to trust you. You got to identify a problem. You need to have the solution, and there needs to be a sense of urgency on there.
So let's talk numbers real quick before we wrap up. Guys, we've given you some of the punches we've taken. We've given you some of the ways we've learned how to block. We've given you some proactive steps on how to throw a counterpunch. Let's talk about some numbers. So I know from our first seminar that we did that I wrote, let's see, $1.5 million in annuities. I put another $1.4 million under management. And I've written, not just the insurance, but I've written about $7,000 in annualized premium on insurance products. And so in my bank account from that seminar system, $100,120.49. Just last night, I wrote another $315,000 annuity from a client who came to our March seminar. So the first one was in February, that 100,000 is rooted in February. Our March seminar, I just wrote another annuity last night from that. So that's some of my numbers. So far, I've enrolled 60 people into estate plans. So Mark, I think you're at 31 enrollments into estate plans. What about some issue paid business and stuff as a result of that? I know you're in the process of doing that $500,000 annuity from that first train wreck that we did, but you also had some other business issue pay in there as well.
Yeah, so 70,000 annuity, pretty decent sized life insurance plan, about 2,000 AP, and then critical illness plans. Those were probably about another couple thousand there, in all told. And then next week, I already have BAMFAN people who came to see me once, and they are dead set on moving forward. So I have more enrollment scheduled next week that we've already gone through the process. So I'm not going to say they're a laydown, but they called me back, and they want to go forward. And so we have a couple more in the pipeline next week.
Fruit on the tree, guys. Brandon, if you want to talk about, I think so. Mark was number 2 in the Alliance for the month of July for number of enrollments in estate plans. Brandon is number 3 as of the end of July. I don't have August numbers. Brandon was number 3 for total in the Alliance from the beginning of when we started this until the end of July. Number 3 in the company on enrollments. I think you had 39, 40?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then let's talk about some fruit on that tree.
I'll tell you what, fruit on the tree. This is the when we first started from February up, and then my last one was in May. I did not keep the pipeline full through June and July. However, the tidal wave is still coming through there. I've got over 20 clients that I have to do financial appointments on, and one that I'm in contact with right now, they have around $3.4 million of liquid assets. I've got, out of that 20, over half of them have over $250,000 of liquid assets. So the opportunity is there. How well I clean up and how well I close is 100% on this guy right here.
So you have closed annuities, right? You've written and closed annuities, been paid on them. That's already gone through.
Absolutely, yeah. I got a couple of $200,000 annuities on there, and I think each one of those ended up paying out. I don't know, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, $18,000, whatever they were. So the money is definitely got there, guys. And hey, you know what? We're actually all the other things, the critical illness, the final expense, the mortgage protection, all those things the client needs as well, and they make us money. So don't give up the $900 sale just because you're out there for the $19,000 one, right? Help that client 300, be a 360-degree agent for those clients.
That's right. We can serve these clients with every tool in the toolbox, and they need those too. They just need someone bold enough, willing enough, humble enough to have the conversations with them. Guys, if you want to be a part of the system, again, get with your agency manager, get on the ARC under connections, get to the ITS/estate planning, get your agent number, sign your non-disclosure agreement, get on the university where all the training's there. Guys, when we started, there was no training on the university. Like, that was in development. You guys have so much to start with, Get with your managers. And again, if you want to come rub elbows with the people that are being successful at what you want to be successful at, whether that's recruiting and building a team, whether that's a top producer in final expense mortgage protection, whether that's the estate system, whether that's Medicare, National Boot Camp in October. Go to theallianceevents.com, get registered, get your ticket, show up. God, there is a tsunami of success on the way. You can ride the wave or you can get crushed by the wave, but either way, that wave is coming. We would love for you to come and join us and be a part of it. Love y'all. Thank you for your time this morning. Sorry for going over. All right, have at it, guys. Go out there and get you some.